This country has one of the most efficient and cleanest rail transit systems in the world. Hello, welcome to OpenTierra. Today we're looking at Singapore, a dynamic city-state known for its impressive skyline, cultural diversity, and world-renowned attractions such as Marina Bay Sands and Gardens by the Bay. Join us to find out more about Singapore's geography, people, food, and history. Singapore is an island city-state located off the southern tip of the Malay Peninsula in Southeast Asia. With a total land area of only 719.1 square kilometers or 277 square miles, it is one of the smallest countries in the world. Yet Singapore is also one of the most densely populated countries, with over 5 million people living on the main island. Singapore consists of one main island and over 60 smaller islets. The main island is linked by bridges to Peninsular Malaysia in the north. To the south lies Indonesia and the Riau Islands. With limited land, Singapore has had to maximize land usage through careful urban planning. Singapore has little variation in terrain due to its small size. The terrain consists mostly of sedimentary rock and granite. The main island has a number of low hills, including Bukit Timah, one of the highest points. Singapore's coastline has dramatically changed over the years through extensive land reclamation projects. Several rivers flow from the center of the island towards the coastlines. Due to rapid development, most of Singapore's original mangrove swamps and rainforests no longer exist. However, efforts have been made to preserve the country's remaining natural greenery. As one of the most densely populated places on Earth, Singapore has creatively managed its limited space through innovative urban planning. High-rise residential complexes house most of the population. The city is divided into broad regions, such as the Central Business District, renowned for its skyscrapers. Singapore is also known for its extensive green urban spaces and nature reserves that seamlessly integrate with the metropolis. The country is steadily reclaiming land from the sea to expand the main island. Singapore is one of the most densely populated countries in the world, with a population of around 5.6 million, according to the World Bank. According to the 2020 census, the majority of Singaporeans are ethnically Chinese, at around 74% of the population. Next are Malays at 13.5%, followed by Indians at 9%. The remainder are mostly Eurasian and other minority groups. Singapore has 4 official languages: English, Mandarin Chinese, Malay, and Tamil. English is the language for business and government. Most Singaporeans are bilingual and speak English, plus one other official language like Chinese, Malay, or Tamil. The major religions practiced in Singapore are Buddhism, Christianity, Islam, Taoism, and Hinduism. Buddhism and Taoism are predominantly followed by the Chinese population. Islam is practiced by the Malay community, while most Indians adhere to Hinduism. About 18% of Singaporeans identify as non-religious. Here are a few iconic dishes that every visitor must try in Singapore. Hainanese chicken rice is considered Singapore's national dish. It consists of fragrant rice and boneless chicken, seasoned with ginger and soy sauce. The chicken is poached to produce tender meat and flavorful broth. It's often served with chili sauce on the side. Laksa is a creamy, spicy coconut curry noodle soup. There are different variations, but the Katong style is popular in Singapore. It contains thick vermicelli, shrimp, fish cakes, and boiled eggs in a rich coconut broth with spices. Laksa is a perfect comfort food for rainy days. Nasi lemak is a Malay rice dish wrapped in banana leaves. It consists of fragrant coconut rice, served with fried anchovies, peanuts, egg and chili sambal. Optional sides include fried chicken wings, cucumber slices, fish cake, and onion omelette. Nasi biryani is an Indian-inspired rice dish that's aromatic and colorful. Spiced basmati rice is layered and cooked with chicken, fish, or mutton. Raisins, saffron, cashews, and curry leaves add more flavor. Strategically located along major sea trade routes, Singapore has long served as an important port and commercial center in Southeast Asia. The earliest known settlements in Singapore date back to the 2nd century CE. The island was located on trade routes between India and China and was referred to as Temasek, meaning sea town in Javanese. From the 14th to early 19th century, Singapore was part of the Malacca Sultanate and then the Johor Sultanate. During this time, a small fishing village emerged at the mouth of the Singapore River. In 1819, British statesman Sir Thomas Stamford Raffles established a British port on the island. The port formally became a British colony in 1824. Under British rule, Singapore grew into a major hub for regional and international trade. Immigrants from China, India, and the Malay archipelago flocked to Singapore. Its population and economic importance expanded enormously during the colonial era. From 1942 to 1945, Japan occupied Singapore during World War II. The British surrender marked their largest military defeat. During the occupation, Singapore was renamed Seonan. The Japanese occupation ended after the war in 1945. Singapore then briefly became part of the British military administration before returning to colonial rule. After the war, Singapore progressively moved towards self-governance. The People's Action Party won the first general election under full internal self-government in 1959. On August 9, 1965, Singapore declared independence from Britain and merged with Malaya, Sabah, and Sarawak to form Malaysia. However, due to political and economic disputes, Singapore left Malaysia and became fully independent on August 9, 1965. Under Prime Minister Lee Kuan Yew, Singapore rapidly industrialized and became a global financial hub. Strict laws and efficient government supported economic development. Today, Singapore is one of the 4 Asian tigers, a highly developed and high-income country. It is a global leader in finance, education, technology, trade, and transportation. This covers some key events in Singapore's transformative history. Over the past 50 years, Singapore has rapidly grown into one of the world's most prosperous nations. Its strategic location, stable government, skilled workforce, and pro-business policies have made Singapore a global commerce, finance, and transport hub. As of 2022, its GDP is around $460 billion, according to World Bank data. Since independence in 1965, Singapore has transformed from a low-income nation into a developed free market economy. The government promoted foreign investment and exports in the manufacturing and services sectors. Singapore also focused on education to develop a highly skilled workforce. Strategic economic policies and efficient governance have enabled Singapore's impressive economic growth over the decades. Singapore excels in several key sectors, including electronics, chemicals, financial services, tourism, transportation, and logistics. It is a leading global hub for trade, finance, and business. The Port of Singapore is one of the busiest in the world, facilitating re-exports. Manufacturing, oil refining, and business services are also major contributors to its GDP. Singapore aims to grow innovative industries like biomedicine and digital technology. Some of Singapore's competitive advantages include its corruption-free business environment, strategic location and transport infrastructure, minimal regulation, and multilingual workforce. It also has close trade ties with major economies like China, India, and Indonesia. Intellectual property protection, advanced digital connectivity, and high productivity further strengthen its economy. Its strategic location along historic trade routes and diverse immigrant population have contributed to Singapore's rich cultural landscape. Each main ethnic group in Singapore has its own unique culture. Malay culture is rooted in traditions, arts, and poetry from Southeast Asia. Indian culture brings colorful festivals, spicy cuisine, movies, and arts. Chinese culture contributes to Lunar New Year celebrations, dialects, philosophical traditions, and architectural influences. Yet Singaporean culture is also distinct from the cultural practices of China, India, and Malaysia. Performing arts have grown in popularity in multicultural Singapore. The Esplanade is its national performing arts centre. Literature often explores Singaporean society and identity through various languages. Singapore's film industry produces popular Singaporean films. Media is closely monitored by the government, which also aims to preserve the 4 official languages. If you enjoyed this video on Singapore, you'll love this next one.